What unfolded at Malcolm-Jamal Warner's private funeral stunned even those closest to the family. The event was meant to be a solemn goodbye, a tribute to a man who had grown up before our eyes as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show. But instead, it turned into an emotional reckoning. Bill Cosby, frail and visibly shaken, didn't just grieve. He cracked open decades of memories, regrets, and suspicions in a eulogy that left the room in stunned silence. His speech wasn't rehearsed. It came from a raw, broken place. For the first time in years, the world saw Cosby not as the controversial figure he had become, but as an aging man devastated by the loss of someone he once called his son. This video takes you behind the scenes of that unforgettable day. From the cryptic words spoken by Cosby and Felicia Rashad to disturbing clues about Malcolm's final days, this is the full story that Hollywood doesn't want told. A bond beyond television. When The Cosby Show first aired in 1984, America met 14-year-old Malcolm-Jamal Warner as Theo, the charming, often mischievous, Huxtable son. What viewers didn't see was the profound real-life bond forming between Warner and Cosby behind the scenes. Cosby took the young actor under his wing, not just as a mentor, but as a father figure. He taught Malcolm about acting, but also about life, how to survive Hollywood, how to carry oneself as a young black man in an unforgiving world, and how to build a legacy. "Bill taught me how to be a man," Malcolm said in a 2012 interview, "not just how to act like one on TV." That bond, forged in front of millions of viewers, extended into real life with a quiet loyalty that endured for decades, even as distance and scandal drove them apart. When Cosby faced legal controversies and the collapse of his public image, Malcolm kept his distance. Not out of betrayal, but out of self-preservation. Yet those closest to both men say their emotional bond never truly faded. A mysterious end. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death, at just 54 years old, shocked fans and friends alike. The official cause? A drowning accident. But the details remain murky, and rumors immediately began to swirl. It wasn't long before whispers of foul play, coercion, and fear surfaced, and all of it came crashing to the forefront at his funeral. According to sources, Bill Cosby collapsed upon hearing the news. He reportedly kept repeating one phrase, "Not my Theo, not my Theo." A funeral no one was ready for. The church was filled to the brim. Former castmates, Hollywood elites, family members, and longtime friends. No cameras were allowed. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with grief, confusion, and a haunting sense of finality. Then, in a moment no one anticipated, Bill Cosby stood and made his way, slowly and shakily, to the pulpit. Escorted by two aides, Cosby addressed the mourners through tear-filled eyes. "I knew this young man before he had his first beard," he began, his voice cracking. "Before the world called him a star, I called him my boy. Not my biological son, but something more, a son of spirit." Gasps echoed throughout the church. Cosby spoke of their time on set, their private conversations, the laughter, the quiet tears over rejection and Hollywood pressure. "This industry can eat you alive," he said, and yet he stood tall. He walked through fire and never let the smoke touch his soul. But then Cosby's tone shifted. The room stilled. "And yet there were people around him who didn't protect him," he said gravely. "There were whispers, dangers, pressures, and now he's gone. Not because he was reckless, but because others were." Tension filled the air. Had Cosby just implied that Malcolm's death wasn't an accident? Rashad breaks. Her silence. Days later, Felicia Rashad, the actress who played Malcolm's mother on The Cosby Show, granted a rare off-camera interview to a trusted journalist. Her tone was serious. She needed to speak freely. "I believe Malcolm knew something was coming," she said. "He didn't say it out loud, but he said enough." She recounted a phone call they had just 1 week before his death. Malcolm had called her late at night, something he rarely did. "If anything ever happens to me, I just want you to know I love you, Mama," he said. Rashad was taken aback, thinking it was just Malcolm being sentimental. But then he admitted he'd been feeling pressure, serious pressure, from people tied to his past. Executives, associates, people resurfacing suddenly with demands, and not the kind you ignore. "They want me to stay silent, but I can't do that anymore," he told her. She pressed him for more details, asked if he was in danger. He brushed it off with a soft laugh and changed the subject, but the weight in his voice never left. Then came her most chilling words. "I believe Malcolm was preparing to expose something. He didn't tell me what, but he was scared, not for his career, for his life." What was Malcolm planning? That one statement from Rashad reframed everything. Was Malcolm truly about to blow the whistle on something? Rumors have swirled since his death. Some say he had files, emails, old contracts, hidden recordings that implicated major industry names. Others believe he had become deeply disillusioned with Hollywood and was preparing to walk away, possibly taking damning truths with him. Some insiders claim he had reconnected with figures from his past who were urging him to stay quiet about an issue dating back decades. What that issue is, no one has confirmed, but many believe it connects to the very industry that made him famous. The aftermath Cosby's final words at the funeral remain the most haunting. "Theo, wherever you are now, forgive us. We couldn't save you." The room reportedly broke down. Even the most composed mourners, actors, executives, and clergy, were seen wiping their eyes. But mixed with grief was something deeper: suspicion. Did Cosby know more than he was letting on? Was Malcolm's death truly a tragic accident, or the silencing of a man who knew too much? Whatever the truth was, Felicia Rashad's heartbreaking confession during Malcolm-Jamal Warner's funeral only added fuel to a fire that wouldn't go out anytime soon. Because now, it wasn't just fans grieving, it was the beginning of an investigation. In the days following Warner's sudden death, the public was urged to accept the official story: accidental drowning during a solo retreat outside Vancouver. But for those closest to Malcolm, his family, longtime friends, and even former co-stars, too many things didn't add up. Let's break down the chilling inconsistencies that are now calling everything into question. According to the police report, Malcolm checked into a remote lakeside cabin on a Thursday afternoon, seen on surveillance footage arriving around 4:17 p.m., unloading groceries and a duffel bag. The front desk said he seemed tired but kind, his usual calm demeanor intact. By Friday morning, guests spotted him on the dock, sipping coffee, writing in a leather-bound notebook. But by Saturday, everything changed. His lifeless body was found face down near the rocks at the far end of the dock. No signs of trauma. No witnesses. Official cause of death: asphyxia by drowning. But that version of events has serious holes. Inconsistency number 1: the missing calls. Malcolm's phone, recovered water-damaged but still data accessible, revealed 3 attempted calls placed at 11:03 p.m. Friday, just hours before he died. The recipients? His former publicist, an unknown contact labeled only as LL, and Felicia Rashad. All 3 calls went unanswered, yet none of this was included in the official police report. Why would they omit what could be his final attempts to reach out? Inconsistency number 2. Vanished footage. The dock where Malcolm's body was found was usually under 24/7 surveillance. But somehow, that night, none of the cameras were recording. Officials claimed a technical failure. Was it coincidence or sabotage? Inconsistency number 3. The locked cabin. When cleaning staff entered the next morning, the door was bolted from the inside. So how did Malcolm leave? Was there a back exit? Or was someone else inside? Someone who locked the door behind them? Adding another layer of mystery, an anonymous resort staff member came forward, stating that a man in a black hoodie showed up late Friday night asking for Malcolm, staying less than 10 minutes and bypassing security protocols. That individual was never identified. Security was allegedly told not to question him. So the question remains, was Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death an accident or something far more sinister? That unshakable doubt rippled through the emotional funeral service held in Los Angeles. Behind closed doors, Hollywood mourned a man who had given his entire life to the public eye, but died cloaked in silence and suspicion. Then came the moment that shattered everyone in attendance. Bill Cosby, now 87 and physically diminished, slowly approached the podium. His voice cracked, not from age, but from heartbreak. "I didn't just watch Malcolm grow up on television," Cosby began. "I watched him grow into a man, an artist, a soul that lit up every room." He paused. "He was more than Theo. He was my son." There was no performance, no script, just a grieving father figure, reckoning with loss in its purest form. Cosby recalled how Malcolm memorized not just his lines on The Cosby Show, but everyone else's, just in case. How he would check in on him even after Cosby's fall from grace. "Malcolm never turned his back on me," he said, eyes welling, "even when the world did." But it was his final words that left the room in stunned silence. "If I could trade places with him, I would. That's how much I loved him." That line would become the headline heard around the world. As the service wound down and the crowd thinned, a new wave of emotion rippled through the chapel. Standing at the front, frozen in grief, was actress Karen Malina White, Malcolm's longtime ex-girlfriend. Though their relationship had ended years ago, they'd remained bonded by an unspoken history, the kind that lingers well beyond breakups. Karen walked up to the casket, placed her trembling hand on the polished wood, and whispered, "You were the one. You've always been the one." A nearby attendee quietly recorded the moment. She sobbed, leaning in. "I'm sorry we didn't make it work. I thought we had more time. I thought we'd get one more chance." Felicia Rashad and Keisha Knight Pulliam, watching from a distance, were visibly shaken. This wasn't just a tribute. It was the raw, private heartbreak of someone who had never stopped loving him. Later that evening, Karen posted a black-and-white photo of Malcolm on Instagram. The caption read, "I never got to say goodbye the way I wanted to. You were my peace before this world became too loud. Rest easy, my love." Over 2 million likes in 10 hours. Malcolm-Jamal Warner wasn't just a gifted actor, a beloved son of American television, or a quiet poet with jazz in his blood. He was a man who bore the heavy cost of fame, a man who, according to family members, had spent his final months pouring every ounce of pain, betrayal, and truth into a secret memoir titled Unscripted: The Life They Didn't See. Now that manuscript is locked in legal limbo, with the family torn between protecting Malcolm's image or honoring his dying wish to speak his truth. And while the world mourns, the real question lingers. Was he silenced? As fans light candles and revisit old episodes, and as investigators quietly probe the strange circumstances around his death, One thing has become painfully clear. Malcolm-Jamal Warner left behind more than just a legacy. He left behind unanswered questions. And until those questions are answered, his voice, one he fought to reclaim, will continue to echo louder than ever. Rest in power, Malcolm. You were never just Theo. You were the truth we never knew we needed.